Good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Tuesday, the 10th of September, 2024, about 6:05 p.m. Central Time, and it's the big night. We're going to get the debate, and this debate could be a knockout punch by either of the candidates. So the race is so close, it can go either way. Obviously, we want to see what Kamala Harris is about, what her policies are, how does she disown the immigration story? I don't know if she can, but if she can, that'll be interesting to see. How does she walk away from Bidenomics and have her own plan in there, and what does she do? The president, Trump, ex-President Trump, well, he'll be talking about how great he is and how his plans are all phenomenal and how everything in the world will change if he's president again. And unfortunately, he's got to get to what he's going to do is the next thing and stay on policy. If he starts attacking Kamala, because she's going to lay traps, you can count on it, try to get him to step and show that other side of him, then he's got a problem. If he stays to the course and states what he did and what he's going to do, it should be a very interesting night. Then we get the other information. So let's get to that right now. We're going to get the Mortgage Bankers Association numbers, and that's going to come out at 6. You know, we've been seeing rates do one thing, plummeting. So what's that going to mean? Are we going to finally see a lot of refinancing? What's going on? U.S. August consumer price data is going to come out at 7:30 in the morning. Obviously, the Fed's going to look at it. Some of the numbers I'm looking at month over month about unchanged, but where they're looking for the decline is the core number, and the decline from a year ago as to where it's at now. That should be interesting. Then today we had the CPI numbers come out, and we saw a decline in oil stocks of 2.79 billion barrels, gas stocks down 500,000. You were up a little bit in distillates and Cushing oil. Well, no numbers that they really came out with that didn't give us anything. There's another chart I want to show you. Now, this is food prices, but it's online food prices, all right? I want you to study this. I always crack up when these things happen, and I want to stand back here so you can see the chart fairly well. There we are. Okay. Do you ever find it amazing that you'll come to something like this in a chart that's showing a crash as you're 8 weeks away or so from the presidential election? It makes me always laugh. Now, admittedly, it's been coming down. After the peak of COVID, and that's what you had with the shortages and everything, it's been coming down. But this last surge to the downside, I always just wonder, was that done because of an election? And my guess is to a degree, so we will see what goes on. As you can see, the crude getting a little bit of a bounce from that API number. It is a decline, so that's okay. Gold, as I said, held well on the 2,500 level. Silver's coming up with it. The copper, I'm going to repeat. I don't know why it got up into that 417 level. I can see it trying to hold there. We've been coming down in the currencies, and you got to start keeping your eye on the Mexican peso because the discussion went on for the new way to elect judges, federal judges, and if it passes, and I happen to think they're going to get it passed, does that hurt the peso further because people will think corruption's going to get to a new level? We'll find out. In the gold market, we have a market, as I've said, on a closing basis. If this market were to finish right now, this is where you'd be. Now, you're going to say, Ira, why is it 25, 22? This is a weekly chart that looks at each month that's expired, going on through, even if they have light volume in them. And that's how you pick that price up. When we come to the D's gold, you can see the price is $20 higher than that on a closing basis, all right? And you can see the market is now in a consolidation. Now, if it's going to pick up and run, which it could do, and that could get you to the 2,600 level if it can come out of this whole zone. That's the big question. If the market comes out down here, probably not. You're going to have a problem. Come out this level, and I think you're on to your 2,600 level. The pattern right now is one of lower highs and higher lows. So you're doing this. You're narrowing the price in as we move along. If you take a look at the 18-day average of closes, I told you a while ago that I thought the market would fight a very serious battle at that number. That's exactly what the marketplace is doing right now. That is the number the market is trying to figure out where to come from. When we take a look together at Bollinger Bands, here's the two restraints on the upside and the downside. On a rally, to get over this price will not be easy because now you've got the 2563.5 zone as the resistance on the upper band, and the support has fallen down. Well, no, it's come up. The Bollinger Band's been climbing, so it's now around the 2519 level. And what's the magic of that? The only magic is the tighter this gets in, it creates its own pattern, because from it, the narrower it gets means volatility's coming out, the prices start spinning, and they break out one way or the other from the power of the sideways action. You did a bit of that back here, and eventually you broke up out to the upside. So we'll see which way it wants to do that. In momentum, we're no longer oversold. Market is picking up. It worked off that overbought momentum. So right now, it should get very interesting to see what's going to get offered there. The gold-silver ratio favors the gold market. It is still over the 18-day average. That's why I've got it covered that way. And look at how different the silver looks than the gold chart. It's in a downtrend. It hasn't been weak enough to get down to the Bollinger Band. It may not. It's already used up a lot of the selling power. It's very oversold. I could see an argument where it gets back and fights at that 18-day average. In the copper market, I don't understand why it had that rally. Looking as I do at China and how weak their economy is, I understand that they had a big surge in their exports, but again, people are front running, bringing in product from China before the tariffs kick in, and they kick in many countries in October. So we will see just what happens there. Coming to the platinum, I told traders today in my morning subscriber video that I thought the pros were going to sell the market short against the 18-day average, stops over that high. If the market breaks, then they'll be trying to get out down there. We'll see which way it wants to go. But if it gets now over that high, it gets very interesting because you lose your downtrend completely. Notice how the support came in at the Bollinger Band last time. And last but not least, the dollar coming up, the market's entering overbought territory. Any reading over 70 to me is overbought. That's not a reason to be bearish, but it's reason to possibly not deploy new money to the long side. The trend is up in the short term, higher high, higher low. To lose that, the market's got to get back under 101.30, that 18-day average of closes. So we'll see what that all does. Now, I want to remind you, in markets like these, when they start going sideways, one of the things you should learn to use are pivot points. I learned them many, many years ago from one of the great chartists out there, Larry Williams. And from Larry, he used to manage money in my firm. And in looking at it, this is one of the things that I watched him many years ago do, and I was always amazed at how he came up with some of these ideas. Excellent chartist, by the way. So in looking at the markets as to what it is here, what these do is they'll give you what's called a pivot number, a center line number. And from that center, you're going to get a series of numbers over it that are sells, a series that are under it that are buys. And it's an in and out tool, but you can expand it. And let me explain that. Sometimes what you do with these tools is they come in. Is you look at these and you say, I'm trying to get long. Is there a pivot number? Maybe that's it. Then I employ with it at the same time my slow stochastic study, and I add that to the bottom of the graph, and I'm looking to see if that can give me a better entry. I am not a day trade person. The only time I'm day trading in a market is I put on a position and either hit the stop and or the profit objective. So I use it a little bit different. But the beauty is you can use this in many ways. It's a free course. So if you'd like to see how I teach in my 3-part course, we're willing to give it to you. Go to iraepstein.com under free offers, pivot points. You can move your cursor to the top here and learn it that way as well. That'll take you there. I'm Ira. Have a great day. I'll catch up with you all in the morning and have comments at that point on how the debate looks to have gone. Take care.